Sakamoto Taro is a legendary assassin in the underworld. Every time this name is mentioned, everyone is terrified. A man who was strong enough to defeat many notorious gangs at the same time was defeated by a girl who seemed to be as extremely normal, but has caused him to be accused of love. As a result, he gave up his job as an assassin to get married and have children. Many years passed. He has become a model father with a big body today. The young man who used to follow him came to find me after a long time of not seeing me. Exine really missed the brother he always admired in the assassin world. Inside the grocery store, there was a naughty kid who dared to make a request with Taro that if he hits the target, he must give a box of milk. It's true that the business has failed, and now he meets these little devils. He will probably go bankrupt soon. Sakamoto and his wife see that boy often comes to the shop recently. I don't understand how. Luckily, the arrow didn't hit the target. He was going to try again, but unexpectedly, he spilled the ink bottle on someone else's pants, making it even blacker. That bastard. That guy was quite good. He immediately grabbed him by the neck and wanted to teach him a lesson. Seeing this scene, the couple didn't know what to do. Then that bastard even put a thick mark on his pants. As a result, he was also beaten by that guy. Luckily, the legendary assassin stood up to block him and used a pin to poke his opponent's head. In reality, he only imagined it because he missed his job. His wife and children were here, but he wouldn't dare give them more money. Doing so, the whole family had to coax the boy without realizing that a guest had come to praise Sakamoto's technique. He stuck the pin into his lower jaw and hit the artery right away. If it was true, the other party would definitely have died. It greeted him, saying, "It's been a long time since I've seen you, Sakamoto," and ended up being killed in his mind because he was a psychic, so he could always read these kinds of thoughts. Because he was so scared, he also reminded his senior to remember that he was his subordinate. He stammered, unable to believe that the legendary assassin of that day has actually retired and become a fat grocery store owner like this. But he really wanted Taro to return to the underworld again. But the answer was no, because he already had a family. Hearing that made Shin feel quite angry, but there was nothing he could do. Remembering the time when he was at his peak, he was the terror of the underworld. The Tam Lake is famous, but now he throws it all away. It's really hard to understand. Taro doesn't care but focuses on the cup of noodles in front of him. It seems that everything has changed, from personality to eating habits. Please remember, in the past, this dad only ate dry food, never noodles. If they hadn't been together for a while, they probably wouldn't have realized that Shin was planning to smoke. But before he could light it, Sakamoto cut it off even faster. This shocked Shin deeply. This firmly confirmed that whether he was fat or thin, Taro could still kill Shin at any time. Suddenly, a neighbor came to ask for some help, making Shin think that he was disguised as a civilian to hire assassins. In reality, it's not like that. People just want to cut off the excess leaves on trees in this neighborhood. No one does not know about Taro, so they still often ask for help. The legendary assassin never hesitated, but always supported wholeheartedly. Even feeding the children had to go through him. Seeing the two children crying because there was no ball to play with, Sakamoto tore the ball in half and then remolded it as if nothing had happened. Shin, who followed him, was extremely angry when the older brother he admired became a beggar for the whole neighborhood. It was really a damned bullet. He praised Sakamoto for hiding his identity. "I'm excellent at my character, but now I see that my senior is really ridiculous." As soon as he finished speaking, the kid shot him in the head, making the young man angry. He also ran away, so he couldn't chase him. When they got to the car, their true nature was revealed. They hadn't seen each other for 5 years, but seeing that the legendary assassin was still as cool as ever, even though he had become a fat uncle, he really didn't want it to cooperate with Trinchien once more. At that moment, he received a call from his boss asking about persuasion. Sakamoto's reappearance shows that he has not yet fulfilled his request to be eliminated, because this is the rule in the assassin world. Once one's hands are stained with blood, it is very difficult to escape, even if that person is considered a legend. Also, I'll try to defend my brother, saying that he's just a fat guy right now and can't cause any trouble. However, he still refuses to say that whoever disappears from the gang, I'll log him out of life. But if he can't do it, he will be the one to die. Hearing that, the young man wanted to decide for himself. He went to buy some things to replenish his energy before starting the battle. Even though he loved his older brother, the psychic forced him to obey the gang's rules. That night, he couldn't sleep and kept thinking about the past. That year, Taro was always a solid support that made Exine extremely confident every time he went on a mission. If he didn't do it, someone else would get involved anyway, so it would be better to let his brother die by his own hand. That's what he thought. The next day, when two children were playing with a ball, they then asked to go over. The wife saw that and also greeted the boy happily, taking the ball out to invite him, but was refused because it was time to fight. Then Sakamoto sat in the store reading the newspaper. Seeing this guy come in, he also understood the problem immediately. He got into a defensive stance, mouthed asking me to come here to say goodbye, then pulled out a gun and shot Black instead. But that phase was blocked by a candy that spat out at the same speed, so shocked that he lost track. Mr. Shin can read minds. But with Sakamoto, it's harder than usual. He secretly creates a smoke screen and uses a rubber band to shoot at his stupid brother. I don't know why, but the power of the shot is very strong. He had to dodge, and before he could regain his posture, Taro had already sneaked up behind him and delivered the finishing blow. Immediately, his mind became hazy, and he felt like he was really stupid. It was really stupid to assassinate a legend like that at such a time. After he woke up, he realized he had been bandaged. The mother and daughter were happy to see him awake and invited him down to eat. The incident was so unexpected that it became a disaster. He didn't know what to do. He clearly tried to kill Sakamoto, but they treated him so kindly. The young man thought there was poison in the food. They had been trained to make their bodies immune, so Shin thought he would be okay. But the soup he sucked was so tasty. The wife saw it and reacted like this. She called her husband in the past, too. How many years had he been an assassin, and had anyone ever cared for him? Now that it's like that, he can't deny always cooking skills because she even conquered the legendary assassin. But the younger brother felt that the food was too warm. It was something he had never seen before, thinking that Sakamoto was trying to protect the little moments of everyday life like this. After eating, they went for a little walk and still had to say goodbye, thanking him very much for dinner. He also made a decision for himself, so he came back to meet the boss's face. The old man was disappointed, thinking that he couldn't do anything because of their previous relationship. The young man bowed his head and begged for Sakamoto's life. The others saw this and burst out laughing, because normally this guy is never weak. The boss asked why he covered for Sakamoto. He didn't hesitate to tell the story of Taro having a family. They didn't care about that. The assassin broke the law again and, of course, will have to suffer the consequences. Hearing that he wanted to change his life for Sakamoto, just hoping they would let him go, and also agreeing that pointing a gun at the person he admired was a mistake, so he wanted to take this opportunity to fix it. However, in the other guy's mind, he wanted to let him die first, and then send someone to kill Sakamoto. As a result, Shin turned around to confront them. The battle above was all heard by Taro at home. Seeing that, he acted like a real assassin. But the toys were still hidden everywhere. He hadn't touched these things for a long time, but that kid was in trouble, so he had to come save him. Let's go back to the present place. Shin defeated many of them. In general, they were just rookies in the assassin world, so it was not difficult to destroy them. The most worrying thing was the large number and modern weapons. Shin Asakura relied on his psychic ability to read the enemy's intentions to keep his life. They also realized the problem and said that if they got too close, their minds would be read. They all split into many angles to shoot, causing the situation to become worse. Getting worse, I said, please try to take down a few more people, but the bullets you brought with you are only one bandit left. You were trying to find a way to escape, but unexpectedly, you got hit by a stray bullet in the leg. You thought your life was over. Then the legendary assassin appeared. Taro used an electric gun to shock the others, burning them. Knowing that this was the one who needed to kill the old man, he focused on the general attack. Seeing that, he took out a pair of chopsticks used to eat noodles and considered them a self-defense weapon. All the shots they aimed at Sakamoto were blocked incredibly. In terms of physical strength, he was almost unrivaled. The skills of a veteran assassin were something he had within him. No matter how many bullets he fired, it was never enough to stop the other party. Helplessly, just like that, the one-sided battle that Sakamoto set up. If it were in the past, everyone would have died for sure. But because he already had a wife and children, he still kept them alive. Many of them were punched until their teeth were worn out without understanding what had just happened. The leader saw this and told his men do not try to take down Sakamoto alone. They had to cooperate. However, it was clear that the enemy only needed 2 knives, small enough to cut the gun in half along with the bodies of the fools. This is the price of aiming at a legendary assassin, Shin told. I would like to witness the whole scene. I secretly thought, this is indeed the senior I admired years ago. He asked, see, why did the senior know to come? Then he took out the pre-installed listening device to show me. I had calculated this, he said. So after defeating the kid, Sakamoto installed this thing on the gun. Liberation. He thought, from now on, no matter what, I will leave. In general, Taro is quite fond of him, so he threw him an apron along with that as an invitation to work at the shop, of course, full salary, although a bit low, but enough to live on. It was fun. This happened so fast that Shin didn't understand anything, but a few days later, The young man started to get used to the new job. Why is Taro recruiting? He was busy eating noodles. But Aoi and her daughter liked him quite a bit, so everything was fine. His psychic ability was now used to help shoppers. The old lady also praised the young man for being so talented and able to guess what a terrible thing I want to buy. The little boy who usually goes to the shop to ask Shin to go out, but he was still on duty, so he refused when asked about his previous job. Shin was about to say the result, but was scared to death by Taro.